So, Guruji will be continuing now. Last session, we were discussing on the remedies from moon, which will basically sustain everybody on this planet. And
Ninth from moon specifically.
sorry,
Okay.
ninth from moon
Yeah, yeah.
specifically. So, which
Mhm.
is basically based on moon because moon is the society and we need to be sustained in this society.
Mhm.
And what is the importance for different people depending on what is the planet lording the ninth from the moon, right? That's
Mhm.
also another thing you discussed on. So, we'll be
And
continuing in that same
yeah.
way.
And so my interest is also to dwell on the first from moon now. Okay. Now, in a recent interview I had, I was speaking a bit on this first from moon. All right. And this first house from moon is the resilience really of the person. Okay. And you are usually going to have people who are having a need to get some form of security in their life from the ninth from moon. And then you will have people who are not able to even function in society because of the first from moon. Okay. So sometimes you will get that. And then you have to be focusing on what is it that is disturbing the mind? Because the mind can be disturbed in the first from moon. All right. I gave the example in the Shiva Gita, it states how Sri Ram was contemplating suicide because he could not be with his wife. Why was he going through that state? It's not because of ninth from moon, it's because of the first house from the moon. Okay? From the first house from the moon, we see all these potentials. What is your mind thinking about? Are you thinking about death? Do you want to be in this planet? How resilient are you to deal with these things? Let's say you're not thinking about death. Let's say you're just having difficulty functioning. Your mind is not functioning. You are depressed, you're unhappy, you could not get out the door. I mean, you will have kids in India. They didn't finish their education. They're just sitting at home. They're looking at YouTube. What is happening to them? What happened? They do not have the resilience to walk out the door and work, get a job, sit in a company, talk to people, buy things, negotiate things, trade things. Their mind is in complete in disarray. They will be sitting and thinking about how that person did them wrong and that person did them wrong and this person said this and that person said that. They're completely stuck in their mind. No resilience. All right? Somebody looked at you funny when you were walking down the street, and for some reason, for the next 3 years, you're thinking about that. Why? Or even worse, somebody experienced a real trauma. Okay? They were assaulted. They could have been different forms of abuse they were experiencing in their life, you know? And the mind is not letting that go. The resilience is gone. They cannot move on. There's no talk about ninth from moon. It's first from moon. We haven't even reached ninth from moon. We didn't even get out of the starting steps. That is the first from the moon. Okay? So the first from the moon is highly relevant to build up resilience. And in the previous times, I did not talk so much about the remedies for the first from moon. The first from moon's resilience is, is essentially discovered in multiple ways. But there are two steps to it which are pivotal. What your mind is occupied about is whatever the moon conjoins or its dispositor, Shoubapati. That's what it's occupied with. We'll talk about that later. I promise. We'll come back to this. But the resilience depends on either the Shoubapati itself, so it doesn't matter what conjunctions are there, all right? Doesn't matter what is with the moon. Whatever is the moon's sign lord or its nakshatra lord tells us about the resilience of the mind. Mm-hmm. If one of these is weak, then the resilience is lacking. You want both to be strong. You cannot just have one strong and the other weak. You want both to be strong. Otherwise, the mind will fall apart due to that weakness. Okay? If the Lord of the moon sign, the sign Lord, that is, what we call Shoubapati, is weak, we say there is something wrong in the food that has hurt the mind. Okay? Usually a lack of a certain nutrient like a vitamin or mineral, or we say B vitamins are very important for the mind. That's what I've said in the past. So Shoubapati is all about food. You need that food. When you get that food, your mind will start working. My guru will even go into different types of food based on that. What is the food exactly you have to eat? But the general idea is there is something that you need to put in your body which will help the mind build up enough of minerals and vitamins to help the mind move on in life. Okay? This comes from the idea that if you are going to torture somebody, you can torture them by depriving them from food. All right? So this is connected to how torture is done nowadays. If you torture a person, you can torture them by denying them food. And that will cause the mind to break. Okay? Another form of torture is to deny them of oxygen. That is the nakshatra lord of the moon. Okay? There's something called waterboarding now. That is focusing on the nakshatra lord of the moon, where you're depriving them of oxygen and then the mind resets. All right? So what does mental illness need? It needs either food to be a problem or breathing to be a problem. One of these two can hurt the mind. When breathing is a problem, it changes the heart rate. And when the heart rate changes, the nervous system behaves differently. Basis this, there's something called heart rate variability breathing. There are actually very different types of breathing that can be used. And basis this, different types of medical breath are there. For example, I heard recently that soldiers on the battlefield in some places are being taught how to deal with stress by doing a certain breathing pattern. They're on the battlefield. They're engaging in warfare. It's a very, very stressful situation. They can die. Okay? They can die. This is super stressful. The people around them can die. They don't just fall apart. What do? Some of them have learned different techniques to change their mind's pattern a little bit and their breathing pattern a little bit, and that's enough to reduce the inflammation that is coming from the high stress hormones like cortisol. That's called box breathing. They will inhale for a certain length, hold the breath for a certain length, exhale for a certain length, inhale for a certain length, and then they hold, again, fourth hold. I'll repeat it. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And each breath is equal. Like inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds. So they will do box breathing. This reduces inflammation in the body, reduces cortisol in the body. They can manage the stress. What are they doing? They're dealing with their nakshatra lord of the moon. They're changing their heart rate. Another method is heart rate variability breathing. Inhale short, exhale long. Long exhale. Why are they doing that? They're doing that to make sure that their nervous system is not in what we call the sympathetic. Sympathetic means active. It's active. It's active. It's not. Active means you are in a place where you are getting ready to react to a problem. Okay. But generally you need the sympathetic nervous system to be awake. You generally need it. Okay. But it can be regulated or dysregulated is the problem. Dysregulated is when you are thinking a bear is coming to attack you, but you're walking down, Broadway in New York. Okay? So there's a problem there. You're dysregulated. You're waiting for a fright or a terror which will not appear in that situation. You have to become more aware of your circumstances to deal with that. That causes panic attacks if you are not aware of your circumstances and associating fear with something that's not there. This is something you have to train your body to get out of if you have panic attacks. And that can be done partly also by disassociating with the actual sympathetic nervous system and take your mind into the parasympathetic, which is excellent for meditation also. All right? So there's some school that says, no, we'll just run away from the sympathetic, go to the parasympathetic. And others will say, no, let's regulate it. I'm not an expert on this, so I won't tell you a person what to do. Okay? There's some really good experts who understand the nervous system who say, no, Visti, if they're in the sympathetic, let's take them to regulated. Let's not take them into the parasympathetic. They could go from that to the dorsal, and the dorsal, they'll just hide over there like they're in a cave. All right? Like a catatonic response could be there in one of these parts of the nervous system. So there are breathing patterns that can help you regulate the heart, which can change this part of the nervous system, and it helps you deal with your nakshatra lord of the moon. So let's say you come to me and say, oh, Visti, I don't know what to do. I had that experience in the past and I haven't been able to get over it. I see, let's say the moon sign lord is a problem. And I say, it's food which is the issue. You're having a food issue. He said, could it be, Visti? I said, maybe. Maybe you're one of those who doesn't metabolize B vitamins very well. You could have a B12 deficiency, B9 deficiency, something like that. Mhm. So we could tell that to a person. But then the remedy, what will the remedy be? Give a Bhagavata mantra
Okay.
for the Shoubapati. Okay? Bhagavata mantra. All right? And this can be for the avatar of the same. So if your Shoubapati is Mars, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. It will work. Mhm. All right? It will work. If your moon sign lord is Mercury, Om Namo Bhagavate Balabhadraya. So you need to know the grahas and the avatars. These are called Vishnu avatar list. Mhm. That is for the Shoubapati. That feeds the Shoubapati. You will feed the mind with this. Okay? In extreme cases where you say, I don't know how to solve this problem, I don't think the Bhagavata mantra will work, we need something more urgent, the mind is really out of whack, then you start performing Tatatreya Hare Krishna Unmata Nandadayaka Digambara Mune Bala Pishacha Jnana Sagara Tatatreya Hare Krishna. You say, Visti, that's a long mantra. Tatatreya Hare Krishna, Tatatreya Hare Krishna, Tatatreya Hare Krishna. That will heal the Shoubapati. Okay? This will also work for the Nakshatrapati. However, for the Nakshatrapati, we have to heal the air. Okay, we have to solve the breathing. The breathing is not problems in the person's mind. Mhm. And for that, we want to give what is termed a Krishna avatar. That's slightly different. They're almost the same. But in that, you need to give the bija clean. Om clean Shri Narasimhaya Nama. Om clean Shri Varahaya Nama. Om clean Shri Ramaya Nama. You have to give a Krishna mantra, Krishna bija, clean. The clean bija is important for the Nakshatrapati. Okay?
And Shri should precede that. But
That is basis the Krishna Avatar Sukta of Atri. So you can take that Avatar Sukta of Atri and you can look what is the mantra given there. Okay, it might be slightly different from what I've written. I mean, said here. Excuse me. It might be slightly different from what I said. So from there you will find the mantra. So this I will actually go there and see the sukta and say Om Kling, and then the mantra is given. Atri's Dasha Avatar Sukta. They are Krishna avatars that he is worshipping. So that is how we will give the mantra for the Shoubapati to feed the body and give the right air for the Nakshatrapati with the Krishna avatar mantras. Yes. Like that, those are the remedies for resilience. With that, now that kid, that person can now actually interact with the world. They're actually having enough resilience to talk to people. They're resilient enough to get out there and experience the world in some form. Without that, there's no resilience.
would we say that this problem can occur where the moon or moon sign itself is afflicted, or where the Shubhapati or the Somnath is afflicted? In which case will you focus
It
on
is
this?
always at the end, either Shoubapati or Nakshatrapati. Okay?
They have to be afflicted.
They have to be our focus.
Okay.
The others are not our focus. This is our focus.
So the problem is also when they are afflicted, not when the moon.
It's only when they're afflicted. The moon itself, it doesn't matter how many afflictions come to that moon. Until the Lord or the Nakshatra Lord of the moon is afflicted, the resilience cannot be in question. How many people have you seen with Chandra Shani Yoga, Chandra Mangala Yoga? They're terrible yogas for the mind. Terrible. And they're not nuts. They're not. They're not crazy. You say, how come this person is not crazy? They're not. They're smiling. Why? Because their resilience is high. So in the end of the day, you're seeing the amount of yogas with the moon are only telling you how much they are having to deal with. It's just telling you how much pressure is there on the mind. It doesn't tell you if they're breaking or not. The breaking is whether the Lord of the moon sign or the Nakshatra Lord of the moon sign is afflicted or poorly placed. At the end, it's just that. That is the measurement of resilience. The topics they have to deal with, now that's the planet having the yogas with the moon sign. Okay? There may also be no yogas. But we are speaking about resilience. What resilience is there? And why is the resilience lacking? You also know now. Shoubapati, food. Nakshatrapati, air. You now know. These are the things to look at. Okay?
So sequence will be first we check the Shoubapati and Nakshatrapati in a chart, and then only if we rectify that, then we see moon ninth house and ninth house from the moon and all those things, right?
Yeah, you first have to see that, because without that, the person is not even able to think about anything beyond themselves. They're not looking at security in society. For most of the clients who come to me, I have to deal with ninth from moon. All right? And then once in a while, I get that one who cannot even get started on anything in life because of the moon sign itself or moon nakshatra itself.
So, Guruji, we will pause here and then we'll cover the chart analysis in the next section. And
a bit more we'll do, but yes, that's
okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop the recording.